What's up, everybody? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today we're checking out Shadow of Intent, the Migrant. Now, listen, you're probably thinking, oh, but Mark's talked about Shadow of Intent on the channel before. Well, I'm going to do it again and again and again for as long as they release music, because I think Shadow of Intent is dope. Now, if you're new to the channel, again, my name is Mark. I'm a metal vocalist myself in a band called Kardashev. We're on Metal Blade Records. We released an album back in June of last year. It's called Liminal Right. Check it out. And I'm also a metal vocal coach. My entire job outside of this YouTube thing is teaching people how to make cool metal vocal sounds safely and efficiently. So if you want to do stuff like, you can find information on how to do that at cardivoxacademy.com. But I also like to make these videos and, like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Shadow of Intent, the Migrant. Ben Duerr is one of, I think, well, I guess I'm going to talk about it in the video, but his lows are dope. His whole voice is dope, but his lows, there's just something crispy about that tone. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead. The Migrant, Shadow of Intent. Here we go. Okay, I'm pausing it there. Also, if you're new to the channel, I pause and talk about vocal technique. Deal with it. So already, there's actually something very serious very important I want to talk about, which is that as far as this type of distortion is concerned, we're only hearing one, but there's so much nuance going on, right? So, I mean, Jesus, there's a lot, but one of the things that I think is really important, if you're a budding metal vocalist, or maybe you're a metal vocalist who's been doing this for years and years and years and years, you're wanting to add some nuance, some flavor to your voice, is to think about nuance outside of the grit, outside of the distortion. One thing with my students, I teach a lot of beginners. I would say like 80% of my student volume is people who are wanting to get started with metal vocals for the first time. I'm not really sure why. But it's a lot of fun. I actually, there's something particularly fun about teaching like brand new beginners. But one thing that I have found is that they think about the scream as the grit. The scream is the grit, right? But let me show you. Let me make myself a little bit vulnerable here. I'm going to show you the way, which is similar to how Ben is doing it, a very compressed arytenoidal scream. I'm going to show you the way that I do my mids and lows, but I'm going to take away all the bells and whistles. All the bells and whistles. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be very impressive. Here we go. That's it. That's the type of distortion that I use, and very similar to what Ben is using here for the scream. Now, if we think about the scream as only the grit, right, you're only going to get so far. Like think about cooking, I don't know, a really delicious recipe, pasta, spaghetti and meatballs, right? If your focus is only the sauce, you're just gonna have a big bowl of sauce. You gotta have good noodles. You gotta have good meatballs, right? So with Ben, a lot of his nuance comes from mouth shape and tongue position. Now, of course, this is something that's very standard amongst death metal and deathcore vocalists. And the last time I said that, people were like, Shadow of Intent's not deathcore anymore. But I'm talking about the vocal style. There's still a lot of deathcore influence in the voice. But anyway, if I take that noise, right? If I take that, right? If I take that and I just do some simple mouth movements, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pucker my lips and I'm going to just slide my tongue forward, right? So I'm going to start here. Right? So if I do that, curl my lips, got a burp. think about putting that as a vowel in a word. Pretty cool, right? Also, the rapid fire action that Ben is doing here is really cool. I'm sure he'll do it again, so we'll talk about it more later. But yeah, like moving forward, I want you to listen to all the mouth shapes, and I want you to think about how much we can change with just mouth shape, right? Like I don't have to change the technique of my distortion to go from a real open, deep guttural, like a to like a more tight, like vomity guttural. Like I don't have to change much more than my mouth shape. Right. So think about that. Also, it's just a total side thing. I know that Shadow of Intent started out with a lot of like Halo themed content, and then they got kind of history. And now we're doing sci-fi and the Migrant. Is this the Migrant fleet from Mass Effect? I love me some Mass Effect. If they're writing a Mass Effect themed album, I'm going to shit myself intentionally. I will force it to happen. It's probably the weirdest thing I've ever said on this channel. All right, here we go. I'm going to pause it right there, actually, because we heard some high vocals. And one thing I really like, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, but when I think about some of my favorite vocalists in metal, which I would put Ben very high on my list of personal favorite metal vocalists, a lot of time what I hear is command of the fundamentals. Listen, like if you're sitting at home and you can do a really super high whistle tea kettle scream, I'm going to commend you because I actually can't do that. I've never made a tea kettle whistle scream in my life. It's never happened. Probably never will. Right? But if that's like your shtick, if that's your gimmick, and that's kind of all you have, that's cool. Hey, more power to you. But what I'm hearing from Ben right now is serious control over his breath. Very serious control over his breath. Incredibly even airflow, right? That's the only way you're going to get through those rapid fire sections, right? If your breath, like when you sing, this is going to translate over into your screaming. You sound like, someone's in the car with someone who's learning to drive. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. That sort of like, gas pedal, gas brake, airflow. Because you don't have a connection between your abdominal muscles, your diaphragm, and your voice in any sort of intentional way, your screams are going to fall apart a lot, right? Your screams are going to fall apart a lot. And this can be kind of tricky because, like, what does even airflow feel like? Like, if you're a new vocalist and you've never felt even airflow, what does it feel like? Particularly I don't speak one language and I can barely pronounce particularly. What does it feel like if you're doing different vocal styles? Well, it can kind of be different in the amount of pressure you're creating with your abdominal muscles, but there are a couple things that are very consistent. First and foremost, you're not going to have to rely on a lot of squeeze in your neck. The reason we have even airflow is to use our system efficiently, and our vocal system is not built to need to rely on pressure inside the neck. Now, we can add strategic points of pressure at the top of the throat and in the back of the mouth to create more compressed sounds, right? That's how we get kind of an old school death metal sound to change, right? Like if I take an old school kind of more death metal false chord, hey, whoa, right there, it's all to the evil lord, right? If I take that, which is an older sound, and I create some strategic closure, that's how we get some more modern sounds like this. But if you're using your airflow properly, you're never going to feel like your muscles are either clamping down or you're getting like bulge under your vocal cords or false folds or arytenoids from mass amounts of pressure in your throat, right? So that's one thing. The other thing that you're going to feel is I can't really tilt my camera. You're going to feel a consistent pressure around the abdominals. Now, listen, if you're singing like in a sort of like Bon Iver, Sufjan Stevens light head voice, you're not going to have to like bear down on your support really. But if you're doing a lot of this like high texture, low phonation, healthfully pressurized, people are going to have a problem with that term, healthfully pressurized screams, then you're going to have to bear down a little bit. And that can feel, Melissa Cross said it best, this was kind of her term as far as I know, kind of feel like taking a dump. Kind of feel like you spent too much time at an Oktoberfest eating too much Brot and Käse. Look at me. A good way to get this feeling, I don't remember who showed me this. This is not something I figured out. This was something that was shown to me. But if you take your finger and you put it against your lips and you kind of press your lips into your finger and you act like you're blowing up a balloon or like an inflatable pool toy or something, right? Or an inflatable pool for your Twitch stream. If you know, shame on you. Just kidding, no shame. But if I blow against my finger, right? I feel some resistance, right? And you can take it a little bit further and try to keep your cheeks from puffing out, right? That is a similar, not exact, but a similar feeling to right? It's kind of similar to that. Now, I know I've been talking for quite a while here, so maybe I'll play the song a little bit more. But also the way he moved to his highs showed a lot of command over the fundamentals as well. Like you can hear, and I don't know if he did it in this song because I'm literally just hearing it, but I don't know if he slid from a low to a high, but we've heard him do it in other songs. And so much of that is commanded with the mouth shape. Relax the neck, command the mouth shape, right? So if I'm here, right? If I let my mouth and my throat, if I let my mouth do the work, and I relax my throat and I understand the basics of phonation and timbre and resonance placement, right? You're going to have a good time. Anyways, let's keep going. Ben, you classy motherfucker. Listen to that. This is exactly what I was talking about. Right? Changes in mouth shape. We can keep the distortion basically the same. We can change the mouth shape. He's doing a lot of like this. And then he throws in just a really quick. That's so sick. Also, like, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the Shadow of Intent guys, because one sound that I have a lot of respect for, but I've just kind of gotten tired of, is just like arpeggio synth over deathcore, which I get that Shadow of Intent has moved away from like the pure deathcore sound. I'm not saying they're a deathcore band, but like the while like guitar is just going dum 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 dum. Like I get it. It's great. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just kind of tired of it. But the way that the keys in this, I don't know if I went back far enough, but the keys are kind of far back and almost moving just like in a subtle polyrhythm. It felt classy. I liked that. But mainly listen to that shift down. And as far as the highs, like tell me those highs didn't sound kind of like Cheney from Entheos, right? I don't know. I was getting similar vibes. You gotta stop being so good, dude. Leave some talent for the rest of us. So I want to talk about some of the main things we hear here. Now, I want to kind of take a moment to say something though. When I talk about tongue position, I want you to understand that I'm talking about one of the most common ways to create these sounds. For example, there are no tunnel throat sounds here, but tunnel throat is a good example. The most common way to make a tunnel throat is tongue at the bottom of the teeth, push forward to create a little pocket under the tongue, seal the sides. Yeah. right? And that gets you your tunnel sound. But you can all like that, even though that's the most common way, that's not how I do it. I tuck the sides into my tongue up here. That's how I do it. Travis Ryan and Will Ramos, a lot of the time, they stick their tongue sideways or even push their cheek out, right? So when I say what I'm about to do here, I want you to understand I'm talking about one of the most common ways to achieve a sound like this. But one of the freedoms that we have as metal vocalists is because, depending on the type of metal vocalist you are, because our technique is so distortion focused, we have a little bit of freedom with articulation that sometimes is hard to find in clean singing, right? Sometimes. So what I hear three main things. I hear the beginning, like this is all sort of coming from like a low guttural-ish position. I hear a slightly narrower vocal tract with the tongue sort of resting on the lip, right? Now, I've seen people create this by tucking the tongue into the lip. I've seen people create this by letting the tongue hover in the middle of the mouth. But the most common way I've found and the most easy way to show other people how to do it that I found is the tongue laying on the bottom lip. Then you can hear me slightly narrow my vocal tract, right? And if I do a normal low, without that, sounds like that. If I change that, sounds kind of smaller and tighter, right? Then what I hear is I hear him open up and pull the tongue back. So we move from this space to I also hear a lot of puffiness at the beginning of his syllables. And when done correctly, that can sound really cool. When done incorrectly, it can sound like you don't have control over your airflow. But one thing that you hear it a lot in deathcore vocalists who really like had their rise to fame happen around the same time, is you hear a lot of syllables kind of get puffed out. So like, let's say I'm doing the symbol, I'm saying, I don't know, what's a word? What's any word? This is like the Billy Eichner, name a woman, right? Name a word. I'm speaking words. Okay, always, right? Always, right? So if I was doing this in a low and I was focusing mostly on texture and delivery, less on articulation, I'd probably say, always, right? Always. Now, what if I puff though the W? Always. That puffiness can be kind of a stylistic marker that sounds really cool when done properly. And Ben's really good at it. I'm going to go back here and then I promise y'all can listen to this song. I'm just kidding. I don't promise anything. All right. I quit vocals. Goodbye, everybody. It was great. It's good knowing you. See you later. I'm just going to go live in my closet. Bye. Okay, just kidding. I don't quit vocals because I got to pay my bills. But like, I'm not going to listen to that the 50 more times I would need to like really give it justice. But there was so much. The coolest thing I heard was we've all heard, and he did it. We've all heard, and I talked about it earlier, slide from low to high, high to low, right? One thing I haven't heard as much of is he did a high to low shift with words for each placement. What? He did, so like, he did like, yeah, yow, right? That drop, now. But he had a word for the high, the mid, and the low. I have never tried that in my life. That would be hard. That would be tough. I'll say high, med, low. I'm gonna try right now. Listen, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna try it right now. Right? So high, med. High, med. High, med. That's how I'm gonna handle the mouth, the vowels. Ha, twang with the tongue, not pressure on the vocal cords. That would sound like this. Right? So it's not ha, it's high, mad, high, mad. Okay, slow is easy though. High, mad. Yeah, that's tough. I think I did okay, but like not as good as he did, that's for sure. Like, all right, let's keep listening. Damn, I've never heard that before. I'm sure it's been done, but I've never heard it. That was fucking cool. Everybody shut up. Do I hear pitched, like, kind of Travis Ryan screams? Press your AirPods into your ears for me. But I hear like a bam, bam, like I hear in the very back. I might be imagining it. I might just be hearing what I want to hear. But I hear so there's the low, and then we've got a couple vocal layers, right? Standard. But I hear almost like a bam, 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 ba-dum with Travis Ryan's like gurgly, which, like, listen, I'm not going to try it because I'm not very good at it. But listen, tell me if I'm crazy. Yeah, right there. Dang, that was bop. That was dirty. Let me see if there's anything. Directed by Dave Otero. No surprise. All right. I don't know if this is about Mass Effect. I kind of think it's not, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe this whole thing is just me hearing what I want to hear. Anyway. Okay, so who here is surprised that Shadow of Intent released a banger? Not me. So again, a lot of really cool stuff going on in that song. I know I mostly talked about lows, but I think that song was very low heavy. Like, it was a very low driven song. So that's kind of what I was pulled to talk about. But listen, when it comes to like variations of tone, variation of timbre, like really having control over those formats, I think it's hard to get better than Ben. There are a lot of people out there who are good at it, but he is really, really flipping good. So think about those things. And if you are just learning how to do metal vocals, start small. Start with just little grunts. Right? That's a good place to start. You can worry about all these bells and whistles later. But anyways, if you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to see the channel grow. Keep an eye out. Ben is actually one of the guest judges on our contest that we're doing. The sign-up period is closed, but he is one of the guest judges. So if you did submit at the time of this video going out, the contest has been going on for a while. But if you did sign up, I'm happy to hear your anonymous submissions for the contest song. But yeah, like, share, subscribe. If you want info on lessons, check out the website in the comments below. I really got to pee, so I'm going to end this here. Many thanks. Much love. I'm out.